day, I'm fed up, I'm strapped, playlist on. I laugh at the RPMs as they ramp up. Black top under me, I don't feel pain. Zigzag to the beat like I own that lane. Kinda wild, kinda stupid, still I do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count me in, I'm coming alive. 3, 2, 1, hold tight, baby, watch me drive. Kinda goofy, kinda dumb, I never die, I say worst days hit hard, I still survive. Goofy in this lane, don't do anything stupid, that's what they say. I'm alive, no. I know I'm alive, laughing in my helmet with a busted tooth, burning through the bad stuff, turn the key, motor comes to life, feel my heart skip a beat, pushing back the worst thought of the world gets mean. I get mean too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count me in, I'm coming alive. 3, 2, 1, hold tight, baby, watch me drive. Goofy on the grind, I never die, I say worst days hit hard, I still survive. Don't do anything stupid, that's what they say. I know I'm alive, I know I'm alive, no. Cold hands, warm blood, I still move on. Bad luck, sticks and stones, I just groove on. If I fall, I get back up because mommy didn't raise no bitch. You can call me reckless, you can call it luck. Little goofy, little dumb, I never die. Worst days hit hard, I still survive. Goofy on the grind, I never die. I know I'm alive, I know I'm alive. Am I alive? Am I alive?
Well, hello again, and welcome back to Flannel Dan Gaming. Tonight we're jumping back into a Voyager AI dungeon thingy, and we're going to be starting single-player Larion. I believe I'm reading that right. So this is the #1 played story on here, so we're going to check it out and see if it's any good. I'm playing solo for the moment, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's get a difficulty. We'll go adventure. That's fine. Now, the start of the story tutorial. Half village is it's cozy halfling village in the forest. Okay, so we're a little D&D. Okay. The prize truffle hog has vanished 2 days before the festival. Mischief afoot. Okay. We'll do the tutorial. A little starting thing here. Okay, let's select our character. I want to make my own custom. Hey, there we go. Cool. All right. We are Dan. We are male. Next race. Okay, so we got some stuff here. Okay, wait, we can play as our favorite dragonkin again, or dragonborn rather. Wait, what? Dragonkin. Okay. Dragonborn, giantborn, serpentkin. Maybe we'll go for like a serpentkin. That sounds kind of fun. Their sharp minds, natural mesmeric, what? Mesmeric ability, and their deadly poison from the Make them feared, yet valued as adversaries, rogues, advisors, rogues, and assassins. Could be fun. Intelligence, condition, alchemy. Ooh, we got dark magic. Let's go Serpentkin. That sounds kind of fun. We'll try that. And kind of fun to be a monk because like we have venomous, like a venomous bite, I assume. So being in hand-to-hand combat might not be too bad. Okay. Be a ranger wouldn't be terrible either. I think I'm gonna go ranger. My thinking is if I can sneak up on most things, I can put my venom on like my arrows or something. I don't know. Something like that. So let's go with that. Our traits. Um hmm, intelligence maybe? I think dexterous is going to be good for us, so graceful. Bonus is stealth, archery, throwing, and acrobatics. I'll go graceful and alchemy, crafting skills, maybe intelligence. Go intelligence. All right. Special skills, noble heritage. Evoke your family name that aids you in areas they recognize. Craftsman. Really make and fix all sorts of things. Could be fun. Friendly face, but we were a viper or whatever. Okay. Here, the beginning stays of bending magic and mechanical wonders. Not sure. Maybe you know how to make and fix all sorts of things. Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm gonna try to maybe become like a hunter or like a bounty, like a kind of like a witcher, sort of. Um, we've trained with a bow. I think that's probably our go-to. Magical skill, fire magic. Okay. Air, water, earth, divine, dark, illusion, necromancy, conjuring, destruction, nature, blood, healing, enchanting magic. You have trained in enchanting magic. I think enchanting sounds maybe good. Backstory. Uh, hmm. Found by the found by a stream in a basket. All that was with me was a Bang. Dagger. And a bracelet. With a cantrip. I don't know. There we go. We'll run that. Hey, heart, heart, heart. All right, let's see. Dan is a serpentkin ranger who has turned a childhood of abandonment into a life of self-reliance mastery. Found as an infant in a woven basket by the forest stream, he grew up with only a singular fang-shaped dagger and a copper bracelet humming with a simple camp trip. As clues of his past, with a simple cantrip. Oh, it doesn't specify what it is, okay. Rather than letting the mystery of his origins weigh him down, he spends his youth in the borderlands learning to survive off what the land and his own hands could provide. He is a maker as much as a hunter, finding satisfaction in the steady rhythm of the forge, of the delicate stitching of leather. His upbringing taught him to be exceptionally versatile, developing a sharp intelligence and a craftsman's eye for detail. Though years of practice, he mastered the art of smithing and carpentry, even learning to enchant his own creations with the simple living power he left in his childhood bracelet. Okay. This extended his role as a ranger, where he combines deadly accuracy with his expert knowledge of alchemy and survival. He doesn't just track his quarry, he understands the chemical propositions of the plants he passes and the structure entangled in the natural world around him. Dan moves through the world with a patient, watchful confidence, always looking for a way to improve his gear and refine his technique. He is naturally drawn to situations where things are broken, whether physical objects or social order or the path through the woods. He feels a compulsion to set them right. He treats every new challenge as a puzzle to solve, applying his divine skills to prove that he is more than a castaway found by a stream. Okay. Castaway found by a stream. He is now eager to win, venture forth into the unknown, ready to test his craftsmanship and his bow against whatever the wild places of Lyrion will offer. Next image. Let's generate. See what we look like. I don't really have an idea exactly what we should look like, so I guess whatever looks cool. That's scary. I like that one. That's us. Review. Stats. Okay. We're pretty jacked. Stamina. Okay. I like our stats. I'm okay with them. They're very balanced and not too either direction. Can level up things. Serpent King, Ranger, Graceful, Intelligence, Craftsman, Alchemy, Training, Magical Enchanting. Okay. Create. Ready. There we go. It's us. Let's see how this goes. I'm excited. Solo run should be a little more challenging. We got to be kind of pace ourselves, be smart about our moves.
Long ago, in the world of Leon, a kettle begins to whistle over a steady flame in the comfortable earthen home of Hearthhome. Dan sits by the round window of the hill home, his lithe emerald-scaled form, a stark contrast to the soft floral patterns of the halfling furniture. He has lived in the village of Hillhome for 3 seasons now, having found a rare kind of peace among the bustling, hospitable halflings who didn't mind a serpentkin ranger, so long as he could fix a broken door hinge or bring in fresh game. Sunlight streams through the glass, illuminating the fine craftsmanship of the wooden arrows he is fletching. The peaceful morning air is shattered as the bright blue front door is flung wide, hitting the interior wall with a heavy thud. Bark Balewood, a young halfling with wild curly hair and a tunic covered in flour, stands gasping in the doorway.
Phineas is gone. Disappeared. Vanished.
He leans against the doorframe, his face flushed, a deep red as he tries to catch his breath.
The spring fair's the day after tomorrow.
That
And
guy's
now
seen some
old
shit.
Goldspoon has announced he's calling in our debt. Coincidence? I think not.
He gulps down a mouthful of air and points urgently toward the village center.
Oh, look at
Grandma
the map.
needs you down at the Saucy Chicken, but first she says,
Saucy
swing
Chicken.
by Manu's and pick up Phineas's calling harness, the one with the bells. Manu's been mending it.
Bark takes a step into the room, pacing frantically across the rug.
We'll need it to leash him again. Oh, and the truffle paste, the one he likes. Grandma is just making up a fresh batch. We'll need that to lure him.
He stops and stares at Dan with wide, frantic eyes.
He'll be out in the truffle woods somewhere. That pig knows every root and bramble between here and the wild market. Phineas is the best truffle hog in the Everwood. If we lose him, we lose the fair. And if we lose the fair, we lose the tavern. Why are you still sitting there?
Okay. We're going to the Truffle Woods. Alright. Oh, we have Hunter's Mark. Okay. Serpent gaze, lock on hypnotic influence, freezing them in place or clouding their judgment. Steady aim, common breath, steady improve. Okay. Inventory, what do we have? 60 coins. Leather jerkin. Seems like a lot of armor, but maybe not. Okay, we need to write to the narrator. I'm missing my fang dagger and what was the other thing? A copper bracelet. Cantrip. Yes. You gonna do it? Okay, inventory. Enchanting 2. What do we got? A simple copper bracelet enchanted with a faint rune that allows the wearer to manifest a teeny flickering spark or a soft glow. Nice. We'll equip that. And me fang dagger, a jagged crafted from the fang of a great serpent, still humming with its faint predatory energy. Can I see stats? Maybe like add, I don't know, +5 bleed damage. To the fang dagger. In my inventory. There we go. Just gotta edit some things. I can certainly update that for you. Since bleed damage isn't a standard stat, I would typically add it as a special property in the description that the narrator can use during combat, or I can add a +5 bonus to your dagger. Yes, do that. These are family heirlooms. It's like, okay, let's see. There it is. We'll equip that dagger. Is there a short bow equipped? Okay, cool. My wool cloak. And 20 wooden arrows. Okay. Alright. I hope that doesn't feel too overpowered to you guys. It's a little loud. Alright, let's go into game. Off. And settings. Let's turn down the music just a little bit. It's a little much. run with that. Alright. First move. Chanting magic. How long does that last? It's just some information. Obviously, this doesn't give me like how long it lasts or how many turns. So outside of combat, it should probably only last for like a minute or two. Inside combat, it should be like 5 to 10 turns. So I need to know these things to like optimize. All right. Weaving Enchanting, you have level 7 enchantment, which allows you to repair or imbue items with magical properties. You have Craftsman trait, which is particular sort of combining magic with physical matter. Okay. Adding elemental damage, fire, frost, etc. to your weapon gives a piece of armor protection. How long will it last? I don't think it says anything. Okay. Temporary imbue. I have to find a way to add it. Alright. I take my 20 arrows and cover them in my venom from my fangs and put them in their quiver. Their quiver. I head out the door. Grandma needs to be you down by the Head out the door and head to the Soul Sea Chicken to see Grandma. Yo, what's up, Yahi 2.0? There? Oh, like that. I'm terrible. Thank you. Success. Serpentkin nature.
Dan carefully coats the tips of his 20 arrows with venom drawn from his own fangs, a practiced steady motion that leaves a faint, acrid scent in the air. He slots them into his quiver, the dark-tipped shafts a silent promise of pain to anything he aims at. Then he is out the door, the bright blue door of Hearthhome swinging shut behind him.
Okay. Then discover a new ability. Unlocked it from character menu using a free excerpt by Venomous Coating. Nice. What is this? Oh, I used 2 stamina doing that. Okay. Now can coat his arrows and deliver debuting toxins upon impact. Allows him to apply this racial biological assist, discovering all they're stuck the arrows and there's okay, cool. Oh, sorry, I have seen many people without dyslexia mixing there, and there. You at least have an excuse, right? I ask for... I don't like this narrator. Unfortunately, I guess we'll just go back to base. I ask for the paste. Where is it? Paste. What's the paste called? The truffle paste. Truffle paste. And go to the blacksmith shop to get the... what is it? Harness. The harness. Blacksmith. black. Blacksmith. I ask to see what he has for sale. There.
Dan stops by the Saucy Chicken, where the air is thick with the smell of roasting tubers and anxiety. Pernilla Balewood hurries from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a flowery apron. She presses a small, wax-sealed clay jar into Dan's hands. The scent of musk and damp earth leaks through the seal.
Take it, and be quick about it. That pig won't wait for anyone once he catches a scent, and if he gets into the deep woods, the Fae will have him for sure.
Dan tucks the jar into his jerkin and heads down Hill Street to the stout stone forge built into the hillside. The heat hits him before he reaches the door, along with the rhythmic ring of a hammer on hot iron. Manu Morgenstern stands by the anvil, her skin glistening with sweat and soot as she works a glowing rod of metal. She set the hammer down and reaches for a leather harness decorated with small, tarnished brass bells that hangs from a nearby peg.
I figured you'd be the one bark scent. The stitching is reinforced and the bells are polished enough to wake the dead. Should help you keep track of that beast in the brush.
Manu sets the harness on the workbench, moving with the slow, deliberate grace of someone used to heavy loads. Along the walls, the shop is a clutter of utility: mended shovels, iron cooking pots, and a few stout boar spears. Dan looks over the items on display, his yellow eyes tracking across the racks of functional gear.
What else do you have for sale today?
Mostly farm tools and kitchenware, but I've got a fine iron wood axe if you're clearing brush, and a set of heavy hobnailed boots that'll keep your feet dry in the muck. If it's protection you're after, I finished a reinforced leather breastplate last week, good for turning a stray branch or a dull blade.
A clatter of heavy boots sounds on the stones outside as Pipkin Smallbarrow skids to a halt at the forge entrance. He is panting, his sandy hair sticking to his forehead, and he clutches a small, folded parchment like it's a royal decree.
Dan, Manu, you won't believe it. I saw Old Man Goldspoon's lackeys heading toward the Trufflewoods with a crate. A big, heavy iron one. They weren't looking for mushrooms, I can tell you that.
I don't think I have any boots. Yeah, I don't think I'm wearing shoes. I'll equip that. It gives me +1 survival. Equip my daggers. Yeah, I don't think I'm wearing boots. How much are the boots? How much are the boots and their stats? I like doing the narrator because it's a real waste just to write it in here because it uses my time. So I'm just asking the narrator to specify because I feel like I'd be able to see that if I was there. 25. Yes, I want to buy them. I wonder if I could write that to her instead of the narrator. I wonder. Like, have a conversation with her. Okay. There we go. So we have our new boots. We'll equip them. Just going through the rest of the stuff. And, cool, we got +3 athletics. Which is pretty nifty. I like it. So, there's our stats and skills, athletics. We don't have that, apparently. Okay. Alright, view journal. Cover that. We just need to travel to the Truffle Woods. You want to travel to the Truffle Woods? Yes. Travel.
Dan pulls the heavy hobnailed boots onto his feet and laces them tight, feeling the bite of the iron nails against the forge floor. He takes the bell-trimmed harness from the workbench and nods to the others. Manu leans over her anvil, her brow furrowed as she looks at the boy.
Where did they go, Wren? Goldspoon's men don't go lugging iron into the dirt for a stroll. That sounds like a trap for something bigger than a pig.
Up toward the old oak stand. I can show Dan the way through the brambles. It's faster than the cart track, and I want to see what they're hiding in that box.
The two leave the heat of the forge behind, trekking 6 kilometers northeast away from the cozy hill homes and into the rising shade of the Everwood. The ground grows soft and treacherous with spring melt, but Dan's new boots find easy purchase in the slick mud. They bypass the main wagon routes, cutting through thickets where the air grows cool and smells of crushed ferns. They emerge onto the forager's path, a narrow trail winding upward between ancient, moss-covered oaks. The trees here are massive, their roots twisting like sleeping giants beneath a carpet of bracken. To one side, the trail opens toward the sun-dappled truffle patches, while a denser thicket leads toward the bramble hollow. Pipkin stops at a bend in the path, pointing a small finger toward a set of heavy, rectangular ruts pressed deep into the forest floor.
See? That's from the crate. They went right through here, and they weren't trying to be quiet about it. Should we look for Phineas first, or see where those tracks lead?
Probably find the pig. I'm gonna use my survival trait to look around for anything useful and look for the hog for a few minutes for any clues.
Dan ignores the wagon ruts, his vertical pupils narrowing as he scans the mulch and moss. He moves with a predator's silence, his new hobnailed boots surprisingly quiet on the damp earth. Near a cluster of broad-leafed ferns, he finds a fresh patch of overturned soil and a series of deep, triangular hoofprints, the unmistakable mark of a panicked truffle hog. A tuft of coarse, ginger pig hair clings to a sharp bramble nearby, fluttering in the breeze. As Dan tracks the scent, a series of small, bog-green figures with long ears and needle teeth peek out from the dense bracken. The tiny trolls watch with wide, pale eyes, their tiny claws clutching stolen silver spoons and bits of colourful ribbon. One let out a sharp, raspy hiss before they all vanish back into the shadows of the bramble hollow, leaving only the rustle of leaves behind.
The trap will still be there later. The hog must be found first, before he wanders into the deep wood and is gone forever.
Pipkin nods quickly, his eyes darting toward the spot where the tiny trolls disappeared. He stays close to Dan, stepping over the thick roots of an ancient oak while clutching his messenger bag.
Right. Phineas is much faster than a heavy iron box anyway. Those tracks lead right toward the hollow. That's where the best truffles grow. The ones that smell like old socks and honey. If he's digging there, he might not even hear us coming with all those bells on the harness.
The trail of hoofprints leads away from the path and descends into a low-lying area where the trees grow closer together and the air feels heavy and damp. Thick curtains of thorny vines hang from the branches, forming a natural wall around the entrance to the bramble hollow.
Use survival to get past the vines. Use hunting stat. Is this skill? Skill, right? Yes, skill. To track the hog. I check for enemies as we move. Can't spell. For threats.
Dan draws his iron dagger, the blade shearing through the thick, thorny vines with practiced efficiency. He ignores the stinging scratches on his scales, focused entirely on the churned-up mulch and the scent of disturbed earth. Beside him, Pipkin reaches out with small, nimble hands to hold back the trailing briars, his breath coming in short, excited huffs as they push deeper into the dense growth of the patches.
Wait, did you hear that? It sounded like a snort. Just through those oaks, near the hollow.
They break through the final curtain of greenery into the bramble hollow. The air here is thick with the smell of wet moss and the sharp, musky tang of moonbloom truffles. In the center of the clearing, a group of 4 knee-high tiny trolls are engaged in a chaotic struggle. They have a length of frayed, muddy rope looped around the middle of a stout, black and white pig, but the beast is far from submissive. Uncle Phineas is a blur of muscle and bristling hair, his single-notched ear twitching with every angry squeal. He swings his massive snout, sending one green scavenger tumbling backward into a patch of stinging nettles. The tynit trolls shriek in their raspy tongue, tugging at the rope and trying to jab the hog with sharpened sticks to make him dig. But Phineas merely plants his hooves and lets out a defiant, earth-shaking grunt. The little monsters are so occupied with the bucking hog that they haven't noticed the serpentkin and the halfling standing at the edge of the clearing. One tiny troll, wearing a stolen red silk ribbon around its neck, barks a command and tries to jump onto the pig's back, only to be bucked off into the dirt.
There he is! And look at those thieving little leaf eaters trying to steal our best forager. We've got to help him before they ruin his temperament.
Okay. Oh, look at the animation. Nice. Alright. Steady aim to use. I guess. To use short bow with a venom tipped arrow. I fire one arrow at each. Teeny troll one. Then take cover. Serpent's gaze. I don't want the hog to run. Because I was going to use Serpent's gaze to stop the pig from running. Oh, there's 4 trolls now. I guess they just got pictures?
Dan breathes deep and stills his hand, his yellow eyes tracking the tiny troll with the red ribbon as it yanks on the hog's muddy rope. He releases a venom-tipped arrow that hisses through the damp air and bites deep into the creature's green shoulder. The troll shrieks, clutching the shaft, but Dan has already ducked behind a mossy oak to knock his second shot. He leans out and fires again, the second arrow burying itself in the monster's chest. Despite the black venom seeping into its veins, the creature snarls and stays upright, its fingers still knotted in the rope as it tries to pull Phineas to the ground. From the edge of the brush, Pipkin lets out a sharp yell and whirls his slingshot over his head. A smooth river stone cracks against the wounded troll's skull with a sickening thud. The little monster staggers, its pale eyes rolling back as it collapses into the muck, barely breathing but no longer a threat.
Got him! Take that, you thieving bog rat!
the remaining 3 tiny trolls turn in a frenzy, ignoring the archer to vent their spite on the prize pig. One lunges with a sharpened stick, poking deep into Phineas's flank, while another heaves a heavy, wet stone that clips the hog's ear. The third creature drops to all fours and sinks its needle teeth into Phineas's back leg. Phineas squeals in pain and fury, his legs buckling as he struggles against the weight of the rope and the onslaught of teeth and wood. The hog tries to swing his tusks at the fallen leader, but the loop of muddy rope is tight around his throat, choking back his defiance. Blood and mud mat his black and white coat as he plants his hooves, his sides heaving with effort. The forest floor is churned into a dark slurry beneath the struggle.
Dan, they're chewing him up. We have to get that rope off him.
Okay. I'm doing quite a bit of damage to him. I fire 2 arrows with venom tips. At the teeny troll with the sharp stick. I feel like that one's probably the biggest threat, or the one with a rock. Then rush up and use hunting skill to bit my what's it? Venom from my fangs in the eyes. I don't know. We'll see. Of a teeny troll. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if it will actually work.
Dan steps into the clearing, his bow singing twice in quick succession. The first venom-tipped arrow catches the tiny troll with the sharpened stick in the shoulder, and the second thuds into its thigh. The creature screeches, the green of its skin turning a sickly, bruised black around the wounds as the serpent venom begins to work. Dan doesn't wait for a third shot. He drops his bow and lunges across the muck. He draws back his lips, exposing his fangs, and sprays a blinding stream of caustic venom directly into the eyes of the second troll. The blinded tiny troll howls, dropping its jagged flint to claw at its face. However, the one with the stick proves resilient. It hisses through the pain of the arrows and jabs its pointed wood into Dan's calf, drawing a thin line of red blood. Before Dan can recover, the blinded creature flails out with a heavy chunk of rock, catching the serpentkin across the ribs with a dull thud. Phineas roars a guttural squeal and throws his entire weight backward. The frayed rope groans under the strain as the hog drags the remaining attackers through the slurry. The troll latched onto his hind leg, refuses to let go, its needle teeth sinking deeper into the pig's flank. Phineas lashes out with a powerful rear hoof, a wet crunch sounding as his strike connects squarely with the small monster's ribs, sending it rolling into the dirt. From the edge of the hollow, Pipkin lets out a sharp whistle and whips his sling. The stone whistles through the air and strikes the troll, biting the hog's leg right behind the ear. The creature's head snaps to the side, its grip loosening as it dangles dizzily from the pig's hide, but it still manages to keep its teeth clamped tight in a mindless predatory spite.
Push him, Dan. He's almost free. Don't let those green runts get back up.
Phineas tosses his head high, the bells on his collar jangling frantically as he tries to snap the cord around his throat. He is covered in a mixture of black mud and red blood, but his eyes are wild with the prospect of freedom. The 3 trolls are wounded and reeling, yet they begin to circle back, their long fingers twitching toward their dropped weapons.
Oof. Did a lot of damage to me. I did not drop my bow. Fix that. Maintains a firm grip on his bow while he lunges forward. Okay, that's good. Alright. Stab. Closest. Teeny troll in the neck. Then move up to drive my venom venomous fangs into the next one. Pinning it to the ground. Okay, see how that story plays out.
Think silently. Dan drops his shoulder and weaves through the chaos, his movement fluid and low to the ground. He draws the fang dagger from his belt and drives the point into the neck of the troll, clinging to Phineas's leg. Dark blood spurts over the pig's black and white hide as the creature shudders. Dan doesn't stop, lunging toward the blinded troll and pinning it into the churned-up earth. He sinks his own fangs deep into the monster's shoulder, pumping venom directly into the muscle. The tiny troll beneath Dan shrieks and slashes upward with a jagged piece of flint, the stone edge biting deep into Dan's thigh. From the side, the blinded creature flails its arms, catching Dan around the waist and dragging him further into the cold slurry of the hollow. The weight of the two small monsters forces Dan onto one knee, the air whistling through his bruised ribs as he struggles to maintain his grip. Near the oak roots, Phineas finds his footing and slams his flank against a thick trunk. The troll on his leg is crushed between pig and bark with a sickening pop, finally losing its grip and falling limp into the mud. Pipkin dives through the muck, his small fingers closing around the frayed end of the rope. He digs his heels in, pulling with all his might to give the hog the slack he needs to breathe.
I've got the line. Kick him, Phineas! Kick him back to the village!
The struggle shifts toward the edge of the hollow where the oaks give way to the softer soil of the truffle patches. The ground here is riddled with the holes Phineas dug earlier, making the footing treacherous. The wounded trolls scramble to their feet, their eyes fixed on Dan and the escaping hog, while Phineas tosses his head, the brass bells on his collar ringing a frantic, discordant rhythm through the trees.
Okay. Huh? Only one left. I didn't use a arrow. Yes, fix that. I have an ability I can unlock. That's cool. I'm gonna unlock that because it makes sense then. New skill, dagger. Nice. Cool. Chest.
Dan shoves the clinging monsters back and sweeps his bow upward in a smooth, desperate arc. He draws a venom-tipped arrow to his cheek and loses it at point-blank range. The shaft hisses through the air and buries itself deep in the chest of the second tiny troll. The creature's eyes bulge as the blackisher begins to darken its veins, its screeching muffled by the sudden heavy thrum of poison in its lungs. Uncle Phineas sees his opening and doesn't waste it. With a roar that sounds more like a bear than a hog, he puts his head down and charges. His tusks, sharp and stained with muck, catch the reeling tiny troll squarely in its middle. The impact sends the small monster flying backward into the gnarled roots of an oak tree, where it slumps into the dirt, twitching and incapacitated.
Finish him, Dan. I've got the hog.
Pipkin scrambles through the slurry, dodging a flailing green arm as he reaches the pig's side. He pulls a small, notched belt knife from his tunic and saws frantically at the muddy rope. With a sharp snap, the frayed fibers give way. Phineas shakes his head, his brass bells clattering a triumphant song as the heavy cord falls away from his throat. The hog stands his ground, sides heaving, ready to defend the serpentkin who came to his rescue.
Nice. I heal, if I can, and use hunting to loot the bodies. With survival. Oop. Okay. Oh, and pick up my used arrows and any other gear that was dropped. Then I check on the hog, and we go back to the wagon tracks. I send Pipkin and the hog home, and yeah, we'll leave it there. This will be our last turn.
Dan breathes through the sharp ache in his side, his hands steady as he gathers handfuls of sticky cobwebs and particular broad leaves from the edge of the hollow. He presses the poultice against the flint cut on his leg and the bruise on his ribs, the stinging sap, working quickly to numb the pain and slow the bleeding. Once his breath comes easier, he moves through the slurry with his iron dagger, methodically stripping the tiny trolls of their meager possessions. He recovers his spent arrows, wiping the black ichor from the shafts, and collects the jagged flint knives and a few shiny copper florins the creatures had tucked into their red-ribboned belts. The clearing is quiet now, save for the heavy breathing of the hog, and the rustle of the wind in the oak canopy. Phineas trots
Echo,
over to
stop.
Dan, his brass bells giving a soft, weary jingle. The pig nudges Dan's hand with a wet snout, leaving a smear of mud on his scales before turning toward the path.
You fought like a badger in a burrow, Dan. I've never seen a serpentkin move that fast. Those runts won't be bothering any foragers for a good long while.
Pipkin takes the
I don't
lead,
think so.
holding the end of the hog's harness to keep him steady. They navigate back through the thick briars of the hollow, pushing through the dense undergrowth until the tangled thorns give way to the familiar, manicured forest floor of the truffle patches. The air is cooler here, smelling of damp earth and crushed ferns. They reach the edge of the woods where the soft soil meets the hard-packed ruts of the wagon tracks. The village of Hillholm lies just a short distance away, the smoke from the chimneys visible over the rise of the hill.
We've got him from here. Phineas knows the way to the trough better than I do. You should get back to Bark. He'll want to hear about the crate ruts you found. We'll see you at the Saucy Chicken for a celebratory pint.
Pipkin whistles a jaunty tune and Phineas lets out a loud, appreciative snort toward Dan before the two of them trot off down the lane. Dan stands alone at the crossroads, his gear heavier with the spoils of the hollow and his wounds cooling in the afternoon air. To his left, the truffle patches stretch out, silent and riddled with the shallow pits of the morning's work.
Okay. So we got a couple coins. We got a flint knives. I guess we could coat those and throw those or something, or sell them. And yeah, we got a free point to unlock a new skill. We can maybe do rapid shot or quick draw. Rapid fire. I think we'll unlock that. It does seem like we healed up a teeny bit. But, yeah. That's going to do it for right now. Okay, hold on. Never mind, the fun continues. I thought I had to go, but I don't. I just want to check my usage. I don't want to use too much. Alright, alright, so we've spent our ability. We're level 3. I'm a little worried about our health.
Dan breathes through the sharp ache in his side, his hands steady as he gathers handfuls of sticky cobwebs and
Those run. We will.
Did that. Okay. What do we do? We spent our ability point. Yes, we did. We have rapid fire now. Cooldown 6 actions. Alright, so the world map. We're up here now. Could either follow the wagon tracks. Let's using skill hunting, use hunting to sneak and track the cage. And have a look to see what's going on. Let me check my inventory. I do not want that equipped. I don't know why I have a bell-trimmed leather harness. I guess we should have put that on the pig. Hard napped blade of flint, rough edge, simple tool for scavenging from trolls. basic throwing weapon. Hunting or defense. Apparently we only found one. The leather jerkin apparently is not equipped. That should help us a little bit with our armor. I did not realize that was not equipped. I wish we could stack these coins. Okay. See anything I can hunt, I will fire a arrow at it and skin it. I guess if I see anything. Looks like I did get a mixed result on hunting. Looks like my narrator broke.
Dan watches the halfling and the hog disappear around the bend before turning his attention back to the heavy iron ruts in the dirt. He crouches low, his emerald scales blending into the shifting light of the canopy as he follows the deep grooves. The tracks veer away from the common forager paths, cutting a messy trail through a stand of silver birches. Dan moves with a ranger's grace, stepping over dry twigs and keeping his weight on the balls of his feet. But the shifting mulch of the forest floor is slick from the recent scuffle. A loose stone slides under his hobnailed boot, clacking against a root and sending a pair of wood pigeons flattering noisily into the air. The noise startles a fat forest grouse from a thicket of ferns just ahead. Dan reacts instantly, drawing a venom-tipped arrow and letting it fly in one fluid motion. But the bird's sudden zigzag through the trunks causes the shaft to whistle past its wing and bury itself deep in a rotting log. The grouse vanishes into the undergrowth, leaving only a single brown feather drifting in the wake of its escape. Dan retrieves his arrow, cursing the clumsiness of his heavy boots as he wipes the damp soil from the fletching. He continues his stalk, more cautious now, until the trees thin out near a rocky outcropping. Hidden behind a screen of low-hanging hemlock branches, Dan finds the source of the ruts. The heavy iron crate sits abandoned in a small clearing, its door hanging open and twisted on its hinges. Nearby, a pair of men in rough gold-stitched tunics, Goldspoon's lackeys, are busy arguing over a set of broken leather straps. They haven't noticed the serpentkin in the brush yet, their attention fixed on the empty interior of the cage and a trail of massive clawed footprints that lead deeper into the everwood. The tracks leaving the crate are fresh, pressing deep into the soft moss and dragging with the weight of something heavy and feral. One of the men kicks a loose stone in frustration, his hand resting on a short, notched sword at his hip. The air in the clearing feels heavy, and the distant, rhythmic snapping of branches suggests that whatever was inside that iron box is no longer interested in staying near its captors.
Tracks leaving the crate are fresh, pressing deep into the moss. Okay. You notice this? Okay. Alright. So, what do we got? Who's the Goldspoon? Enemy? I haven't learned enough. What's going on? Why is this not charging? Stop. Withers, Old Man, Goldspoon is a true enemy is something you'll likely discover as you dig deeper, but based on what you've seen and heard so far, he's certainly no friend to the people you've met. Okay. Use hunting to sneak to the cage to see what's in it. Think I have anything good to help out. Don't have anything that will really help there. I want to see what's in the cage.
Dan melts into the undergrowth, his emerald scales catching the mottled green light of the hemlock branches. He keeps his belly low to the moss, moving with the silent, rhythmic flow of a serpent through tall grass. Every placement of his hobnailed boots is deliberate, pressing into the soft earth to muffle the crunch of dry leaves. He circles the clearing, using the massive trunks of the old oaks as cover until he is just a few paces from the iron-bound crate. Saren, the taller lackey, delivers a heavy kick to the dented cage door. The iron groans on its hinges, swinging uselessly in the damp air. He turns to his companion, his face tight with a mix of fear and anger.
We have to track it, Aurelian. If Goldspoon finds out the locks were cheap, and we let that thing slip into the woods, it's our necks.
I ain't getting paid enough to hunt a shadow cat in the dark. Let's just tell the boss the beast tore through the metal on its own. Look at those scratches.
Dan reaches the edge of the crate and peers inside the dark, musky interior. The floor is lined with shredded straw and stained with a dark, oily substance that doesn't look like blood. Heavy claw marks are gouged deep into the wood of the floorboards, and a single tufted clump of black fur caught on a jagged bolt ripples in the breeze. The air inside smells of ozone and old meat, a scent that makes the scales on Dan's neck prickle. The tracks lead away from the cage in long, powerful bounds, tearing up chunks of moss and earth. The lackeys continue their bickering, unaware that the ranger is close enough to touch the iron bars of their failed transport. They seem more afraid of their employer than the predator they have unleashed into the truffle woods.
Fine. You go play hero in the brush. I'm going to find the rest of the wine we left in the wagon.
Okay. Info on Shadow... It said Shadow Cat, right? Shadow Cat, yeah. Shadow Cat. So, let's see what they have to say about the Shadow Cat. I'm pretty sure a Shadow Cat is like basically a panther. It can like teleport between shadows and it can like, I think, freeze you. As a serpent ranger, you've heard whispers of shadow cats in the tavern's tale, hunter's lore, and they aren't your typical forest predator. Here's what you know. Stealth and shadows. True to their name, shadow cats are monsters blending into the darkness. They can't they don't just hide in the shadows, they seem to move through them, making them incredibly difficult to track and spot until they strike. Physical traits, they are described as large, sleek, feline with patch black fur, clumps of black fur, massive clawed footprints. They're found small. This isn't your normal cat small house. They're powerful, fierce beasts. Yeah, it's a magical creature, possibly one that can blink or teleport short distances. Alright, so that's what we know about them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to use my hunter skill. Use hunting to follow at a distance the lackey who goes looking for the shadow cat. I kind of want to take off my heavy boots, but I kind of want to leave them on as well for like grip, because I won't slip on stuff. Use something to follow at a distance the lackey who goes in looking for the shadow cat. If the shadow cat attacks the lackey, I will use rapid fire to and aim aiming for the head and eyes. Doesn't look right. Is that right? Aiming? It doesn't feel right. I will use rapid fire aiming for the head and eyes, I guess is what we can do. Using archery? Aiming, damn it.
Dan slips into the shadows behind the silver birches.
We'll see if it understands.
His body low and fluid. He keeps a steady distance from Seren, watching the lackey's clumsy progress through the underbrush. The ranger tracks the man by the snap of dry twigs and the glint of his gold-stitched tunic, but the shifting light of the canopy makes it difficult to keep both the man and the faint, oily trail of the shadow cat in view at once. Seren grunts, drawing a notched short sword that shakes slightly in his grip. He pushes deep into a dense thicket of ferns, his boots heavy and loud against the moss. Behind him, Aurelian disappears toward the wagon ruts, his mind clearly fixed on the promised wine rather than his partner's safety. A sudden low thrum vibrates through the air, followed by the sharp scent of ozone. From the darkness of a hollow log, a blur of pitch-black fur lunges at Seren's back. Dan reacts with the practiced speed of a hunter, his fingers blurred as he knocks and looses 2 arrows in a frantic rapid fire. The first shaft clips a low-hanging branch, spinning harmlessly into the dirt, while the second hisses past the shadow cat's ear, missing the eyes and burying itself in the bark of a nearby oak. The cat hisses, a sound like tearing metal, and swerves midair. Instead of burying its claws in the lackey's neck, it skids across the moss, startled by the sudden whistling of Dan's arrows. Seren lets out a high-pitched yelp and tumbles backward, flailing his sword at the empty air as the beast vanishes into a patch of deep shadow beneath the ferns.
Who's there? Aurelian, help me, you coward. It's right here.
Okay. Yeah, +5. Yeah, I just saved your life, bud. We got stealth. Learn that stealth ability. Ooh, look at the shadow kitty. Nice. Alright. Using stealth to hide in the brush, waiting for the shadow cat to attack the lackey again. I'll get it one of these days. Lackey again. Oh, I did not mean to hit enter. Shoot.
Dan drops low into a thicket of dry bracken, his emerald scales disappearing into the brown and grey of the forest floor. He stays as still as the roots themselves, his eyes locked on the spot where the beast vanished. The scent of ozone lingers in the air, sharp and metallic against the damp rot of the woods.
I know someone's there. I saw the arrows. Please, help me. Old Man Goldspoon has florins, hundreds of them, for anyone who helps bring this devil back or kills it. Just don't leave me alone.
The lackey scrambles backward on his heels, his notched blade cutting useless circles in the air. He is so focused on the ferns in front of him that he doesn't see the air ripple behind his left shoulder. The shadow cat melts out of the darkness like ink dropped in water, its form flickering and unstable. With a silent, powerful spring, it lunges. The beast's jaws lock onto Seren's shoulder with a sickening crunch. The man lets out a strangled scream as the cat's weight slams him into the dirt, its claws raking deep furrows through his gold-stitched tunic and into the meat of his arm. Blood blooms dark across his chest, but he feebly stabs upward with his short sword, gasping for air as the predator begins to drag him toward the deeper shadows of the thicket.
The debt collector's quarry. Accept. Alright. We are going to use steady aim to fire to shoot the shadow cat in the neck. Then skill. With archery skill, then stealth, hide again. I wish this wasn't hidden so much. I don't know if I'll be able to see any weak spots, but I can check. Oh, I've also leveled up apparently. I feel like arching shot would be useful. Called shot. Ooh, a called shot. Ooh, I like that. What does that do for me? Abilities. Called shot. I like that. Use... rapid... No, not rapid. Steady. Steady. Aim. Then use called shot to hit the weak spot or eye with venom tipped arrow. There we go. Let's see. This is a little bit more complicated of a turn. Failure. Womp womp.
Dan rises from the bracken, his vertical pupils narrowing as he draws a venom-tipped arrow. He settles his breath, feeling the steady thrum of his bowstring against his emerald scales. He centers his focus on the shadow cat's thick neck where it pins the gasping lackey to the dirt. Just as he loses the shaft, the air around the predator ripples and hums with a sharp ozone scent. The beast flickers out of space, and the arrow whistles through a hollow pocket of violet smoke to splinter against a limestone rock. The shadow cat rematerializes instantly, sensing the ranger's presence. As it keeps its forepaws buried in Seren's chest, it lashes out with a back leg, its claws trailing wisps of amethyst light. The strike catches Dan across the ribs, tearing through his leather jerkin and leaving 3 burning gashes that bleed crimson against his green scales. The force of the blow knocks the wind from him, sending his next arrow skittering into the mud before he can aim for the creature's eye.
Get it off! Kill the damn thing! I'll give you every coin in my belt. Gold spoon! He'll pay you hundreds of florins. Please!
Seren flails his notched sword wildly, the steel clanging off the cat's hard skull without biting. The predator ignores the blunt strikes, her amethyst eyes fixed on the man's throat as she prepares for a final lunge. Static ripples through her midnight fur, her weight pressing the life out of the lackey's lungs. while blood soaks into the forest moss beneath them. Dan rolls into the damp ferns, clutching his side as he tries to find a new angle of attack. The beast is faster than any forest cat he has tracked, its movements defying the natural laws of the woods. He can see the oily stain on its flank where the lackey's blade grazed it, but the creature seems fueled by a cold, supernatural rage that far outweighs its physical wounds.
Aurelian, don't let it. It's taking me. Help.
The lackey's voice breaks into a wet gurgle as the shadow cat's jaws snap shut inches from his jugular. The scent of meat and ozone grows suffocating in the small clearing. Dan reaches for his quiver again, his fingers stinging from the cat's magical discharge, knowing the man has only seconds before the Everwood claims another soul.
Animal. This shadow cat's mean, man. He doesn't have like crazy health, he's just mean. Skills. Archery. Firing a arrow as I rush to stab the shadow cat with dagger skill using my where's my dagger? Fang dagger. Then spit my venom in the open wounds. There we go. Stab. Stab. Seems like a good move, right? Potentially. I use archery firing an arrow as I rush to stab. As I rush to stab the shadow cat with a dagger using my fang dagger. Then I spit my venom in the open wound. And biting at the shadow cat. As desperation, I feel like, at this point. I kind of want to save this guy. Failure. God damn it.
Dan looses an arrow as he lunges forward, but the shaft passes through a blurring ripple of violet light where the cat's neck should be. He closes the distance, driving his fang dagger down with a desperate arc, but the blade meets only cold smoke and the scent of ozone. The beast's form vibrates into a smear of shadow, frustrating his attempts to bite or spit venom into a solid surface. Even as he presses the attack, the predator's instability makes it feel like fighting a storm cloud given teeth and claws. Seeing the serpentkin's blade, the shadow cat releases the gasping Seren and springs directly at Dan's chest. Her glowing fangs sink deep into his shoulder, and a sharp burst of shock energy ripples through his emerald scales. The crackle of static accompanies a jolting pain that radiates down his arm, leaving him reeling and his breath stolen, though he manages to keep his feet beneath him.
Blast you! Get away!
Seren tries to swing his notched blade from the dirt, but the shadow cat bats the steel aside with a casual flick of her paw, her weight never shifting from its focus on the ranger. The man collapses back into the moss, clutching his mangled shoulder as blood continues to pool in the deep furrows of his chest.
The serpent has fangs of his own. I saw them bared at the ones in the hollow.
The beast stands over the wounded ranger, her coat rippling with static that makes the surrounding ferns curl and blacken. She ignores the dying lackey entirely now, her amethyst gaze locked onto Dan's yellow eyes with a cold, calculating intensity.
Ruh-roh. We might die. Alright, I wonder if I could put the leather harness on the cat. Use stealth to stab up with the fang dagger, so the shadow cat does not see it. When that happens, bite the shadow cat in the neck, driving my fangs into its jugular? No. Into its blood stream. My venom works fast. I hope. I get behind the cat and hold on as tight as I can, never letting go of my bite. Let's see if this works, otherwise we're probably gonna die.
Dan drops low, his scales blending with the damp earth as he slides beneath the beast's reach. He strikes upward with his fang dagger, but the air ripples with a hum of ozone, and the blade only grazes the cat's shifting flank as she blurs into a violet smear. He lunges, sinking his fangs into the thick fur of her neck to deliver a desperate dose of venom, his arms locking around her powerful frame in a death grip. The shadow cat screeches, a sound of grinding metal, and her fur erupts in a violent discharge of amethyst static. The shock hammers into Dan's chest, the magical energy searing his emerald scales and leaving his muscles twitching with a numbing cold. Despite the agonizing jolt that threatens to paralyze his grip, he refuses to let go, his weight dragging against the predator as she thrashes to throw him off. Seren scrambles backward through the slurry of mud and rotted leaves, his face a mask of blind terror. He clutches his mangled shoulder, the gold-stitched tunic now a rag of bloody silk. He kicks himself away from the struggle, his heels carving shallow trenches in the forest floor as he puts distance between himself and the flashing claws.
Keep it busy. Don't let it turn back. I'm going for the wagon.
The cat twists her head with predatory grace, her amethyst eyes narrowing as the venom begins to burn in her veins. She lunges forward, dragging Dan along as she tries to scrape him off against the trunk of a silver birch. Her form flickers, partially solid and partially smoke, as she fights the serpentkind's hold with a low, vibrating growl.
You cling like a leech, little snake, but blood is a debt that always gets paid.
Okay, so I guess we're still holding on. I drive my Fang dagger in the Shadow Cat. Using it to hold on better. Pumping more venom in as I lock my jaws as hard as I can. Skill daggers. Yes, this is a AI generator. It's called Voyager Beta. It's AI Dungeons, the creators of AI Dungeons' second game-ish AI generator. So I'm doing sort of a D&D run, very sort of. This is my character. I'm currently fighting a Shadow Cat, which is not going very well. This is some lackey guy that I was basically using as bait. He's fleeing right now. And I am desperately clinging on to this Shadow Cat. I have a venomous bite because I'm a serpentkin. So I have my fangs dug into its neck and I'm desperately holding on. I'm not doing very good. I'm like 2 hits away from being killed. This cat can do like 27-ish damage per hit. So I went into this with like 79 health, and yeah. The Shadow Cat's very angry at me, but yeah. I need my traits. Serpentkin. From my fangs. I could maybe use graceful. Using my graceful trait to help me hold on. I think that's the only thing I'm gonna get. could... Nah, survival is not going to help me here. What? Use serpents. Wait, could I wonder if I could use... I'm not really looking at it. I'll say use Serpent's Gaze. This should freeze the Shadow Cat if it's going to work, where then I can hopefully kill it. Let's see what the AI has to say. Oh, I got mixed results.
Dan locks his jaws onto the creature's neck, his emerald scales flexing as he drives his fang dagger into its shifting flank. He stares into the amethyst pinpoints of the beast's eyes, trying to bind its will with his own serpent's gaze. The shadow cat's body turns to cold smoke beneath his touch, the dagger sliding through violet light, and only finding enough purchase to draw a thin line of dark blood. The beast screeches and slams its weight sideways into a silver birch, pinning Dan against the rough bark. Her fangs find the gap between his neck and shoulder, and a sharp jolt of static hammers through his frame. The magical shock leaves his muscles screaming and his vision blurred. But the venom from his own fangs continues to pump into the creature's unstable form.
You're on your own, Snake.
What?
Siren doesn't look back as he scrambles on his hands and knees toward the distant wagon ruts. He leaves a smear of red across the moss, his mangled shoulder sagging as he disappears into their heavy ferns. The forest grows quiet, save for the crackle of violet energy and the heavy breathing of the two predators locked in a bloody embrace.
The man-thing flees like a coward. You have his scent on you, but your heart beats with a different rhythm. Stop this, or we both feed the roots today.
I don't know if this is gonna work. I could try to get the Shadow Cat to be my pet, but I don't really care that much about bringing it on. Stab. At Shadow Cat's heart. My venom must be starting to work by now, I think to myself. Hint, hint. Yeah, I'm like one good hit away. Veins. I wrap myself around the cat. Holding as tight as I can. don't think I have anything. I don't have anything else that I can. Deadly poison, it says. My deadly poison in its veins must be working to paralyze this shadow cat. Like, come on. I spelled rap wrong, by the way.
Dan tightens his coils around the midnight feline, his emerald scales straining against the creature's thick fur. He drives his iron dagger deep into the cat's side, aiming for the thrumming heat of its heart. The blade sinks in, and the beast's amethyst eyes widen as Dan's jaw locks tight, pumping his natural venom directly into its bloodstream. The shadow cat's movements grow sluggish and heavy as the poison begins to dull its supernatural speed, but the predator is far from finished. Screeching with a sound like grinding stones, the shadow cat lurches backward. She slams Dan against the rough bark of an oak tree with a bone-jarring thud that cracks his breath from his lungs. While pinned, the beast twists her neck with a violent snap, her jaws glowing with violet static as she delivers a biting shock to Dan's forearm. The ozone bite sears his flesh, sending a jagged bolt of agony through his arm that threatens to break his iron-tight grip.
Your venom burns, but you will break before I do, little serpent.
Dark blood and violet smoke seep from the cat's wounds, staining Dan's green scales as they struggle in the dirt. The beast's legs shake, her form flickering between solid flesh and translucent shadow as the paralysis takes hold of her limbs. She claws at the earth, dragging both of them deeper into the brambles as she tries to find the strength for one final, desperate surge to dislodge her attacker.
Eek. Oh my god. Oh, I'm gonna die. No way. Inventory. Do I have anything to heal? Oh, it worked. Dagger skill. Ugh. Paralysis. Sis takes hold. Cat's heart slows.
Dan surges upward, his emerald coils tightening around the shadow beast with the crushing strength of a forest predator. He drives his fanged dagger into the creature's amethyst eye. The iron blade sinks deep, puncturing the orb with a wet crunch and a burst of violet sparks. The shadow cat's scream is a jagged, metallic rasp that shakes the surrounding birches. Dan sinks his fangs back into the pulsing muscle of her neck, his throat working as he forces every drop of his paralyzing venom into her systems. The beast threshes, her paws carving deep furrows in the mud. But the paralysis is a cold tide that even her magic cannot stem. Her heart slows to a heavy, labored thrum that Dan can feel through his own ribs. The violet smoke rising from her fur thins and gutters like a dying candle. She sags against the oak, her weight becoming dead and heavy as the electrical discharge in her coat fades to a dull, occasional flicker.
The dark takes me. Snake, you have broken the hunt.
The cat's head falls back against the moss, her one remaining eye dimming as she loses the strength to fight the serpentkin's grip. She is a mess of torn fur and dark blood, her breathing shallow and ragged. She remains still, pinned beneath Dan's weight, her limbs twitching only slightly as the last of her supernatural energy drains into the damp soil of the Everwood.
Did I win? Is the shadow cat dead? Or just paralyzed? Based on the current state, the shadow cat is not dead, though she is severely weakened and paralyzed. Checking the condition, she has a small amount of health left, but with the combines of your paralysis of venom, the deep wounds to her eye, and the massive physical trauma has left her completely incapacitated. As her sags against the oak floor, remains still, incapable of the fight, maintaining her shadow magic. Okay. Abilities. Unlock a new ability. I don't. Do pinning shot. Okay. What do we got for usage? Okay. Okay, so the cat is there. Finish the shadow cat off with my fang dagger and use hunting Skill? Skill. Skill to skin it and pull off anything useful or worth anything. Useful for crafting. Maybe specify. Shadow. Or worth anything. And cut off its head as proof I killed it. To show... what was his name? Show Gold Spoon. Later. Okay. And loot anything around the area. Using survival. Skill. I think that's good. I can't believe we survived that.
Dan pulls his fanged dagger from the beast's eye and drives it deep into the soft hollow of her throat. The shadow cat's frame gives a final, violent shudder, her remaining eye glazing over as the violet sparks in her fur flicker and die out. Her weight goes entirely slack against the silver birch, the hum of ozone vanishing to leave only the dripping of blood and the rustle of the wind. Working with the steady hands of a ranger, Dan carves through the pelt, his blades sliding between skin and muscle. The fur is thick and unnaturally cold, feeling more like woven shadow than animal hair. He carefully separates the hide, preserving the shimmering patches of amethyst-tinted flank. With a heavy, rhythmic sawing of his iron blade, he severs the head, the dark blood staining the moss a bruised purple. He tucks the grim trophy and the midnight pelt into his pack, noting the way the fur still holds a faint, static charge. Scouring the muddy clearing, Dan finds a discarded leather satchel belonging to the lackeys, half buried under a rotted log. Inside, he finds a handful of copper florins and a small whetstone. Near the iron crate, he spots a heavy, discarded iron bolt and a coil of high-quality hemp rope that the men left behind in their panic. The oily scent of meat and ozone still clings to the empty cage, but the woods are otherwise empty of the men who brought the beast here. The forest remains heavy with the silence of the Everwood. The distant wagon ruts the only path back toward Hillhome. Goldspoon's men are long gone, likely already spinning lies to their master about how the creature escaped. The heavy head in Dan's pack is a weight that will either clear his debt or draw him deeper into the old man's orbit. He stands alone in the cooling afternoon air, the copper bracelet on his wrist, humming a low, steady note as he looks back toward the village.
Nice. Shadow Hide Harvest. Described. Dan has learned the precise detail arrangement required to skin and preserve magical shadow-infused pelts without damaging their external properties. This ability allows him to harvest high-quality supernatural creatures, otherwise dissolve or lose potential upon death. Oh, that's cool. Rare. Oh, look at us. Should have saved my thing. Cool. Okay. Alright. Let's look at world. Okay. I travel back to Hill Home. And go to the saucy chicken. To finish the Bells and Bellwoods quest. And rest. We'll say finish the quest, because I'm sure there'll be stuff to go that goes along with it.
Dan trudges back through the tangled brush of the truffle woods, the weight of the shadow cat's head swinging heavily in his pack. His emerald scales are dull with dried mud and purple blood, and every step in his new hobnailed boots sends a throb of pain through his battered ribs. The forest thins as he reaches the valley slopes, where the familiar round doors of Hillholm glow with the soft orange light of afternoon lanterns. He passes the buzzing hives of the apiary and the stone walls of Mossfoot Brook, heading straight for the thatched roof of the village's heart. The saucy chicken is loud with the evening rush, smelling of roasted roots, spilled ale, and Pernilla's famous truffle pies. Dan pushes through the heavy oak door, the warmth of the great hearth hitting him like a physical weight. Bark Balewood is leaning over the bar, polishing a pewter tankard, while Pipkin Smallburrow sits on a tall stool nearby, a massive plate of pie crusts in front of him. Uncle Phineas the hog is nowhere to be seen, likely sleeping off his ordeal in the backyard pens.
Sweet meadows, Dan. You look like you went 10 rounds with a bramble-white and lost 9 of them.
He made it. See, Bark? Told you those ruts wouldn't swallow him whole. Though by the look of those scales, he found something more than just an empty crate out there.
Bark sets the tankard down and leans his thick forearms on the polished wood, his eyes darting to the dark stains on Dan's pack. Nima moves quietly behind the bar, her pale green eyes taking in Dan's injuries with a practiced, unsentimental gaze before she reaches for a clean rag and a flagon of water. The tavern chatter dips for a moment as the regulars notice the bedraggled serpentkin standing in the doorway.
Well, lad, you brought back my pig in the harness, and Pipkin says you saw Gold Spoon's boys hauling iron. Tell me you've got something for me to throw in that old Mizer's face before he tries to buy my rafters out from under me.
Goodness, such cheery music. You track the iron shipment to the truffle woods. Find fortification. Ugh. Sure. Alright, what's my last move? Well, not last, but I rest and heal for the night. Asking for a free meal as a reward for getting the pig. Hog, not a pig, a hog.
Think description. Bark lets out a low whistle, his eyes wide as he pulls out a heavy wooden chair for the weary serpentkin. He bellows toward the kitchen for the largest plate of roast and roots in the building, then pulls a double pour of his finest amber ale. Dan sinks into the seat, the weight of the shadow cat's head in his pack finally resting against the floorboards.
Hold still. This will sting less if you don't squirm.
Nima circles the bar with a bowl of steaming water and fresh linens. Her hands are quick and steady as she dabs the purple gore and forest muck from the gashes on Dan's ribs. The warmth of the water and her careful application of a stinging herbal wash begins to close the ragged marks left by the cat's claws. A soothing heat spreads through Dan's torso, knitting the torn scales and easing the deep ache in his bones. Near the hearth, a halfling in a velvet coat trimmed with faux ermine swirls, a glass of expensive wine. Percival Goldspoon adjusted his silk cravat, his nose wrinkled in a permanent sneer at the rustic decor of the tavern.
To enjoy that meal, Serpent, it likely represents the last bit of charity the Balewoods can afford. Once the Newman Fair concludes and the debt is called, this drafty barn will finally be under proper Goldspoon management. My father has such delightful plans for the cellar, none of which involve muddy rangers or farm animals.
Bark's face reddens, but he keeps his voice low, leaning in toward Dan as the serpentkin finishes the rich, earthy truffle pie. He gestures toward the shadow cat's head, now peeking from the bag. He explains that Old Man Goldspoon has been moving more than just wine. Heavy iron shipments have been disappearing into the northeast reaches of the truffle woods. Bark offers a heavy purse of florins and a permanent room if Dan can find where those crates are going and what sort of grim fortification the miser is building on elven land. The warmth of the fire and the weight of the meal finally take their toll. Bark leads Dan to a quiet corner room upstairs, where the scent of lavender and cedar hangs thick. Dan collapses onto the soft goose-down mattress, his emerald scales finally relaxing as the door clicks shut. The muffled sounds of the tavern below fade into a rhythmic hum, and sleep claims him instantly. Bright morning sunlight streams through the small circular window, dancing across the wood-grain floor. Dan wakes to the sound of a distant rooster and the smell of fresh bread rising from the kitchens below. His ribs feel solid again, the soreness replaced by a stiff but functional strength, and his gear sits cleaned and ready by the bedside. The shadow cat's pelt remains dark and cold in the corner, a silent reminder of the debt still to be settled in the woods.
Hey, fully healed. Nice. Oof. Okay. Oh, characters did pretty good there, I feel like. The Ironwoods. Okay. Okay. Let's talk with the narrator real quick. And skills with my, maybe leatherworking? What can I make with the shadow cat pelt? With my leather working and tailoring skill. Okay. With your current skill, that the rare Shadowcat pelt, you could impressive options for crafting. Because the pelt is infused with the creature's natural displacement, magic, and static energy, items made from it tend to carry those supernatural properties. Here's what you can craft with your leatherworking, tailoring, and crafting toolkit. Alright. Shadow Stitch Bracers require Shadowcat leatherworking. These sleek bracers would be light and incredibly flexible. They would likely gain a bonus for your stealth and archery, as the fletchering nature of the fur helps break up the silhouette. Muffled shadow boots. Small significantly boost your stealth and might even provide a small bonus to acrobatics. Cloak. Tailoring. This would be a masterpiece of tailoring. The cloak made from this pelt would shimmer between solid and smoke in dim light. It would make for a much harder to hit in combat. A bonus to your defensive capabilities. It would potentially grant a small boost to your Serpent's Gaze or your Mastery ability, making it your form harder to pin down. Quiver. Carry more ammo, maximum with a faint static charge. A small amount of magical damage to your shots. Huh. Could I make a bow with it? A very creative idea. While bow are usually made of iron or horn, it is certainly you can certainly use the Shadowcat's pelt, a shadow-strung longbow, or a displacing short bow. Shadowcat recurve bow. In a dark, cold high of the shadow. String draw. The magic fur absorbs the creak of the wood and the whistle of the arrow, giving it a significant bonus to stealth while attacking from hidden. Amethyst static. Your arrows carry a faint discharge of the cat's energy, dealing bonus magical damage. Blurring flame. The bow itself seems to flicker in your hand, making it harder for enemies to predict where you are aiming. Would you like to proceed with crafting this bow? That sounds super cool. Yes. Craft the bow. The Shadowcat recurve bow. Using Carpentry level 5 for the bow frame, and enchanting level 7 to enchant it better. Does that seem good? It sounds really cool. Here's what I would propose. Let's see. I think here's the bow. Shadow curve. There it is. Shadow cat recurve bow. Use. That is pretty freaking cool. The bow is not a... Is it tool? No, here. Use. No. Why can I not equip it? I can not equip the bow. Nope. Spelled things all wrong. I need to eat some food. I'm hungry. No, I want to equip it. Hold on. Let me refresh.
Think description. Bark lets out a
Okay, we end that. View quest. Character. Inventory. Yeah, it's not letting me. Cannot be equipped. Dead. But, okay. Now that we got... You just said you'd be quiet. Alright, little one says hi. Nice. That's cool. Alright, everybody, that's going to do it for right now. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, turn on the bell. Check out the link below for Discord tips, tricks. Always welcome if you want to game with me. That's where you're going to find me. And if you're feeling frisky and froggy, hit the join button. Love to be part of that phenomenal crew. Alright, see you next time. Bye-bye.